You're taking time out in the no-flop zone with Boti Nagy and Joey Wright. This episode is being brought to you by 1946 Distilling, our good friends at 1946. Subscribe. We know there's a lot of you watching, but we want to get our subscribers up to 1,000. Doesn't cost you any money. Just hit the subscribe button and join us, because we've got a lot to talk about today. Starting off with, I want to ask you whether it's desperation or a smart move. And right. I'm going with, first of all, Tasmania, cutting sword. Mm-hmm. You see what I did there? Cutting sword.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I picked up on it too.
For Ian Hummer.
Okay.
And then you've got Brisbane bringing in Josh Adams at the moment that they brought him in to this team. And now Sydney also bringing in Lamonte Turner.
Okay.
Now, which of those are smart moves and which of that is smacks of desperation?
Well, we're going to start at the first one.
Yep.
With Hummer, I think that's a smart move. Sword is not what they needed. He wasn't producing in true NBL fashion for an import. He had one good game there, but we can't hang our hats on that. I think that was smart move. They bring in a worker. And Hummer, he missed a few shots in the game the other night, right around the basket. The athleticism
I actually thought he got fouled a fair bit, and they didn't get a call.
I would agree with you on that, but still, if he's finishing that over the top of the rim, which is what those refs are used to seeing, then the foul is accentuated and you get the call. He's trying to finish those under the rim. But I love his work ethic. I love what he brings. I'm always a little suspect of bringing an import over when we can get an Australian to do that same thing, but maybe there was no Australians available to fill that. Moving on.
Josh Adams,
smart move. Josh Adams, familiar with the league. He left here with a little bit of chip on his shoulder to prove. That team it needs a leader. It needs someone who's going to step up with that ball, and Prather's been doing a great job of that, but to have two of those just improves their situation. So I think that's a smart move.
Okay.
I actually think that's both. It's a little bit of desperation, but it's also smart. Sydney, I think, is desperation.
Right.
I think bringing in someone else that uses the ball is basically telling Josh Adams, look, we don't need you if we don't need you.
Jaylan Adams.
Sorry.
Because they sure don't need Josh Adams.
They don't need Josh Adams. They could replace him with Jaylan.
I think they want to run Jaylan in the two spot a bit more, because even though I know you've said his 41 a couple of weeks ago against Adelaide wasn't that impressive for a 41-point game, he still did it. And then he's followed that up with a 30-plus in a win over South East Melbourne. So maybe moving him to the two a bit is not a bad move.
I just have an ability to move him off the court, period. When the bad body language starts, when the misdirection starts, when the casual play starts, just put him on the bench. That probably won't go well. It's a reason why his body language is bad. But, it probably won't go well, but that's why I think it's desperation.
Well, staying with Sydney, Brian Goorjian does seem to be doing that with Cam Oliver. Exactly what you said. When his body language isn't any good, or he doesn't chase, or doesn't work as hard as what he should, he's out.
And they have the opportunity to do that, because they can, slide guys around, move guys over, especially when LePepe is out there. They can definitely move him over. They haven't had that ability to do that at the guard spot and still stay, relevant. But now this will test it. We'll see.
Don't they have enough guards? I mean, you got Jaylan Adams, you got Sean Bruce, you got Tyler Robertson, you got Bull Quoll.
Bull's only been back recently, so he's coming back in the foyer just here recently. So
Lee Arthur, we're still going.
You still got Lee Arthur and Bull, but if Jaylan's not playing well, then you got Lee Arthur and Bull, and you're not just dealing with Jaylan's bad play, you're dealing with whatever comes with that as well, as a team, as a group. And right now, what I see out of Sydney, I see two of their main leaders being extremely casual about their success.
I mean, there's an upside though with Jaylan Adams, because when he gets going, he can really get going.
And that's what you use him for. I've had players for years that I will use them to the benefit of the team, and when they're not benefiting the team, we just bench them and we move them over. It's some guys you'll still, if they're not benefiting the team by scoring, they're benefiting the team by, talking or the defense or whatever. I don't see those guys as that.
Okay. There's a lot of love in Adelaide for Kendric Davis.
Yep.
I mean, he's second in the scoring, he's leading the assists, so his personal numbers are good. I'm just curious whether you think he's the sort of guy that can take you to a championship, or is he the sort of guy that will look good along the journey, get you a few wins, but can't get you over the hump? Because there's a lot of love in Adelaide for him, and I'm sort of still on the fence.
I'm not on the fence at all. I don't think you can win with him.
Oh, okay.
I think he's a exceptional ball player. I mean, when I'm actually teaching Players, and we're working out. I'm using some of the stuff he's doing, and I'm explaining to him, hey, watch this guy. He does this very well. He's a great individual player, but he's not going to help the other people around him. I was sitting with two players at the last game, and I told him, watch him during halftime. Just watch him walk around during halftime. And he walked around, just moped. He never made anybody else feel better during that halftime break. Now, if you're a leader on the team and you're going to be successful and you're going to win championships, you got to not only play well, you got to help others play well.
So how do we rate Adelaide now? I mean, they've knocked off Sydney and they've knocked off Melbourne. So since they've had the big player meeting, do you rate them? Are they going to make the 6, or will the Leopard not change its spots?
I think they'll make the 6.
Yeah.
And then when the heat comes, they'll go back and resort to back who they are. I think Leopards don't change the spots. I think when the heat hits, they'll resort back to maybe separating or whatever. And it only takes one incident. A lot of times as a coach, you have a technique when teams not together. All right, and this is your last technique. You can make them hate you so much that they come together.
Right.
And I don't know if Wells have done that on purpose, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I still don't think he's coaching that team. Really, I don't. Even in the Sydney win, he subbed out Kendric Davis with 38 seconds to go in a quarter, and Kendrick walked behind him and he said something to him, and Kendrick muttered something back, and he sort of, Mike Wells made that sort of gesture. It was on the TV. It's like, that doesn't look to me like you're, solid and you're working towards the same goal.
Yeah, someone's come together. I just don't know if the whole unit's come together where you got the staff and the players come together, and that's what you're going to need during the championship. That's what you're going to need during the championship run. But the talent's there. Amazing talent.
Talking about whether we rate Adelaide, you say you reckon they're going to make the 6. Who comes out? Because right now, I think Southeast Melbourne are travelling pretty well for a team that started 0-5.
Southeast Melbourne looks really good. They got all weapons covered. We thought that early on. We all thought it. The nation thought it. And they do have everything covered right now. With Walden playing the way he's doing, Sobey's playing some of the best basketball I've seen him play since he was here in Adelaide. And, they got scoring punch down in the middle. They got it really covered. But so I think they might be in. I don't know if Perth's in.
So you're thinking Adelaide takes Perth's spot?
I think Adelaide takes Perth's spot.
Because Perth's sort of just hovering behind Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
Who play in this next round. They've got an opportunity for sure.
They definitely have an opportunity, but I don't think anyone has more talent than Adelaide. So on talent alone, in the games they've won on talent. Now, we want them to win because they're a cohesive unit. That's talented. That's what gets you to the championship, a cohesive unit that's talented. That gets you to the championship, and you're going to play against another cohesive team that's talented, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know if they're cohesive. I just think they're extremely talented, and some of the best talent I've seen in a team in a long time. Their top 4 is amazing.
Well, with all the love for Kendric Davis, there's a lot of talk about re-signing him. Do you think they should re-sign him, or that they will re-sign him?
I don't think they should. I think they will. And I think Adelaide, and part of Adelaide's problem, it's always let the voices talk, because it's a small city with a lot of talk, and the voices talk. So, and unfortunately, I think we've always had people here who listen, and fans should just come clap.
Yes, okay. And they should come clap when they play Tasmania in their next home game, because they'll be retiring the singlet, the number 21 uniform of Daniel Johnson. Now, you had a lot to do with Daniel's career, but he's played 13 years for the 36ers. Was brought here by Marty Clark, one of 2 great moves that Marty Clark made. I think the other one was Mitch Creek. And if you look at it, you would have probably thought, well, Mitch will get his number retired had circumstances not gone down the toilet.
Correct.
But Daniel Johnson, what's your take? Should his number go alongside Mark Davis, Brett Maher, Al Green, and Darryl Pierce?
I think it should. I think his enormity and what he's done for the club. Did he win a championship? No. Did he win an MVP? No. But he's serviced this team very well. I coached him for 8 years, I think, of those 13, and we would not have been as successful if we had not had Daniel Johnson. So I definitely think minor premiership. He's won major awards, and I know a lot of people discount the minor premiership, but to me, you play well for the whole year and secure that means a lot more than playing well for 3 months. But it's where this has shifted. In other countries, the minor premiership means more than championship.
Yeah, I know that. Okay, well, see, I'm a little out on it because, You said some of the stipulations, which is play on a championship, win an MVP of the league, or that sort of thing, which a lot of the other members of that exclusive team, But I have that really fond memory of Game 4 against Melbourne United for the championship a few years ago in Adelaide, in the corner where I used to sit. He gets it, he hits the 3, and that breaks the game, and that sends it to a 5th game in Melbourne, which you were never going to win. But it was still a great thing for the home crowd to leave on that note. That was a big shot. Can you remember anything from Daniel? Because I know he doesn't remember you. If he was past you in the street, he goes, I don't know who you are.
It's been so many, but we just as a coach having the ability to say, I'm going to give the ball to that guy, and it's a pretty good chance we're going to score. All right, that's just a luxury not many coaches have. And when you do have that, you're going to use it to the extent. And Daniel won his games. He flat out won his games by himself while we were here. A lot of things he could have done better, but I don't think that those things that he could have done better is a reason why he shouldn't be his jersey retired.
So we saw Illawarra and Tasmania this week. Illawarra as the leading team and Tasmania as the defending champs, albeit with pieces missing. What was your take on that game?
Look, I love the game because, one, you got 2 coaches who coach.
Yes.
You got 2 coaches who coach. And as fans, we don't always see what they're doing, but they were making some great moves. I was watching some chess match. They're going back and forth with substitutions, with different ways of covering the pick and roll. I really like to see the coaching between the 2. So I got more captivated in that than I did even in who was making shots or not making shots. Sure. But, obviously looking at Juk was tough. Majuk Dang was just tough in that game and played really well.
Yep.
But I think the key for Illawarra throughout this playoffs is their backcourt playing as well as they did the other night. They didn't have the best night they've ever had. No. But if you can get 40 points or 37 points out of your backcourt, and they controlled the tempo and they hit shots when they needed to hit shots. And they did. They were brilliant to watch.
Tyler Harvey is so much a better player in this environment under Justin Tatum than he was previously with, I can't remember the last, Jacob Jackamas, and then even Brian Goorjian. He's a much better player.
And I'll tell you what he's done, Justin Tatum's done, all right? Gord said, go play offense, and he went and played great offense that year, all right? The next year, I don't know what the message was, but he didn't do either. He didn't play offense, he didn't play defense, he was shooting terrible shots. His defense was terrible. And Tatum came in, and I saw it. It's called a set, and he jacked up a long 3. Got benched.
Yep.
It was like a minute and something to go in the game. That set the message right there.
Yep.
We're not going to lose the way you want to lose. We're going to lose the way I want to lose, and you're going to play the way I want to play. And that set the message. And I thought that was the best thing ever, and that's brought him in. Great players want to be coached.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely
they want to be coached.
Correct. Yeah. And I've noticed that Josh King does the same thing at Southeast Melbourne. If you're going away from what they want you to do, it doesn't matter what your name is.
Come sit here.
You're sitting down.
Yeah, come sit here. Sometimes that's the best thing about bringing in people from outside the fold. When I got to Brisbane, I didn't give a shit. Like, they're telling me this guy, Randy Rutherford's the highest paid player in the league, and he's done this. He was the highest paid player in the league when I got there.
Wow.
Which was $225,000 US.
And this was in the 1820s.
Yeah.
It was a long time,
ago. It was a lot of money. But I treated him exactly like I would treat him any other player.
Yeah.
And that pretty much ran him off because he wasn't used to that. And that was the best thing that happened for our team.
Yep. All right, let's move to our favourite segment, favourite segment of one of us, Coach's Corner. You've just come back from Serbia, where you've spent some time, and I think you want to talk about how Serbia runs their junior program compared to Australia, and then having a bit of a look at EuroLeague. So,
look, it was great being over there. It's always great when I go to different countries, whether it's South America, Europe, Asia, whatever it is, just to see different experiences and see how people coach this game, like what they do, how people play the game. At the junior level in Serbia, I was just amazed at the attention to detail. And, obviously I'm being a foreigner coming in, all eyes are on me. But the attention and the energy levels at that junior level was amazing when I was conducting that workout. They got after. It was no bullshit. It was no side talking. Everybody was feet on the line. If I say get on the line, the feet were on the line. They, one person's off. They were almost in military state.
What age was this?
This was under 16 girls.
Wow.
Under
Okay,
16
wow.
girls.
Because that's usually the age where they give it up.
They give it up and chat and da-da-da. They did do the typical girl thing, all shot at one ring right before. You had 8 people at one ring, and then the one serious girl down there by herself. That happened, and then right away I was like, she must be the baller. And sure enough, when we threw the balls up, she was the baller. But it was great. It was really good. Now, I was surprised, and I'm going to have to give some credit here. EuroLeague status, I was expecting to go there and see a level above us at the NBL level. This is what I saw. 1 or 2 players above and beyond NBL. Exceptionally.
In each team?
In each team.
Right.
1 or 2 players exceptionally. So you have a Montrezl Harrell playing there.
Right.
Actually, we have a Montrezl Harrell now. So we have a player at that level that's playing at that ability. And then the next 4 or 5, they're NBL level.
Right.
They could play in this league and be successful or not be successful. The next 5 are exactly that, which is different than the NBL. Our next 5, so our first 5 or 6, 7 players, they could play over there and they can play EuroLeague. We drop off on that next 5 to 4 players at the bottom, where they're replacing that guy coming into bench. He's still a 40% three-point shooter, who's made a lot of money playing basketball, who could start easily if that person in front of him didn't start, could start easily and you wouldn't skip a beat. So over a course of a 40-minute game and over a course of a 30-game season, they're going to be better than us. But at first glance, that first 5 minutes of the game looked just like an NBL game.
So the gap was nowhere near as huge as what we might think.
Nowhere as near as huge. I was actually really surprised.
But we're still not number 2, right?
No, we're not number 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, that's the reality of it. But as far as watching basketball, I'd much rather watch an NBL game than any other basketball in the world right now. Right. It's really good basketball.
Okay, let's talk about the number 1 in the world, the NBA. Even though we've discussed there are aspects of what's happening in the NBA that we don't want to watch, but let's talk about the fact that we have 14 Australians in the NBA. I was surprised at that. I mean, not that I was unaware, but I hadn't done the maths.
It creeps up, doesn't it? It just creeps up. I mean, it was a day when we had 1. We were all ecstatic, when Gazy went over and when Hill went over. We were all just blown away to have an Australian there. And, the reality of it is they were there not really to help a team win. That was the first year that the NBA got smart enough to go, hey, we have a Joey Wright sitting on the bench, and his mama and a couple brothers are going to buy a jersey, and they want free tickets. Or we can get Andrew Gaze and captivate a whole country. And they were smart enough marketing-wise.
So this is why you missed out. This is why Andrew played for the San Antonio Spurs.
No.
And you didn't.
Andrew was a better player than me. That's why Andrew played for the San Antonio Spurs versus me playing for the San Antonio Spurs. But that was a huge marketing move at that particular time, is to get away from the NBA being just an American game and be a global game. Well, how do we do that? We go get their best players and we park them. We're going to tell you they're not good enough. And then all of a sudden, they start being good enough.
Yes.
And it changed the whole climate of the NBA.
Well, let's run through them. We've got Patty Mills, who's just played his 1,000th game. He's at Utah Jazz, 1,000 games, which, as you're speaking of, when we were happy just to have somebody on a roster. Yeah. For Patty to have cracked 1,000 is
it's amazing. It's amazing. And we're talking about a 6-foot player that dunks every now and then. So kids, you don't have to be, 6'9", 6'10", or whatever.
You got him at 6 foot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You think he's taller?
No.
Oh, you think he's shorter? Oh, yeah. I'm giving him sub 6 foot. But I want to be nice to the guy because he's played 1,000 games and I couldn't play one. So.
All right, let's move on with some of the others. We've got Dyson Daniels at Atlanta. His last game, he's had 11 points and a loss to the Clippers. Josh Giddey at Chicago went 6, 7, and 3 in a loss to the Spurs. Josh Green didn't score a loss to Cleveland. He's playing at Charlotte. Jock Landale got a DNP. There's a few guys actually got DNPs lately. Matisse Thybulle, Duop Reith, and then we've got Ben Simmons who's injured, funnily enough. Alex Dukas. He's one that
So yeah,
he's a name that'll surprise a few people.
that's a
Alex
name
Dukas.
that you surprised me with, and people, I would not have known who Alan Dukas was until the great Boti Nagy informed me who it was.
6'7", 201
6'7",
centimetres, yeah, from Geraldton in Western Australia. Went to St Mary's, which is the school that has had the most Australian content in it. Yeah, so he's running around with OKC, although he's playing G League at the minute.
That's when we're talking about Australian basketball is on the up and coming, when it's people that are making noise and we don't even know who they is. Furphy is a name that came out of nowhere. I did know who he was, but not a lot of the basketball population know who that is. And that kid is an exceptional player. 2
points in his last game, a win over Brooklyn. We've got Jack McVeigh and Luke Travers running around in the G League. McVeigh's averaging 13.9 points a game, 5.7 rebounds with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. And Luke Travers is with the Cleveland Chargers, where he's averaging 21.2 points and 9.6 rebounds, 6 assists. I think he'd have to be close to a call-up.
Yeah, I would say close to call-up. McVeigh's been up. I mean, they'll go back and forth all year. I mean, that's the beauty of the two-way, having a two-way player. I would have really thrived in that environment. I think when I was younger, having an opportunity to learn a little bit and then go play, and then come back, learn a little bit, and then go play. So I think it's exceptional that they're getting an opportunity to do that, and it's not like that's a big deal. Like that's a big deal. So hats off to all those guys, all 14 of them. You're making noise whether you think you're making noise or not. Just to be able to sit on a bench in the NBA tells you how talented you are.
Well, hats off to you for last week in our tipping. You were correct in predicting that Adelaide would beat Melbourne. It talked me into it. And then I think I talked you into South East Melbourne beating Tasmania. So we're going to go to 1946 Distilling, and you can pick which one you'd like. I think
Look,
the viewers can already see which one you like.
I like this one. This is one of my favorites. But the purple, the Prince purple here, that one's exceptional. Exceptional. And make sure you get the Fever Tree Tonic. Fever Tree Tonic with any one of these goes very, very well.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with our last segment in just a second. Game of the round. Second versus third. Melbourne at Sydney. Talk to me. This is the one.
This is the one. This is a big game. This will probably decide who they're going to be for the rest of the year. All right. If Sydney's going to be serious, this is a game they got to win. I don't think they're going to win it, though.
At home with Lamonte Turner.
At home with Lamonte Turner. New player coming in is always one. If you get a big-time new player to come in that's, any importance to the team, it's always really hard for you to win that game. Very hard. No matter if they played there or not, no matter what, it's really hard to win that game with a big-time new player come in. So they have that going against them. Two, they have, the resistance or the possibility of the resistance of a new player coming in by some of the current players.
Right.
It's going to take some playing time away. You're saying we're good enough, and here's this guy. That has to work. If that doesn't work, then you're really stacking yourself against Melbourne. I think after seeing them play last game against Adelaide, that it's a lot going on there, but I just can't see that many successful winners continue to lose. Like all those guys are champions. They're all successful, including Dean. Awesome coach, great coach, great players, championship players. They're not going to continue to lose. They're not. There was something going on there the other night. Physically, Goulding didn't look like himself.
Or Ian Clark.
Yeah, Ian Clark didn't look like himself either. Physically.
Jack White.
And Jack White was...
Three points, four fouls.
Yeah, he picked up 2 fouls early, and a great power forward, like an athletic power forward, against the 36ers is typically where they lose out at. If they got someone that's 6'7" that can do a little bit of everything, that's usually hurting the Sixers, and they didn't. Jack wasn't able to do that. So I think he looked out of sorts. I can't see them guys doing that consistently. I can see Sydney doing that, as I don't trust their 2 leading players in Cam Oliver and Jaylan Adams. I don't trust those 2 as basketball players.
Okay, but this Melbourne lineup, I look at their personnel. I think if they're firing, they're the team to beat. Even though I've got a lot of regard for Illawarra, I still think Melbourne is the team to beat if they're firing. That was a very unusual performance in Adelaide. I think the only guy that wasn't really affected was Shea Lee, and the crowd was on him, but he just got on with it. A few of the others seemed off.
Yeah, those three seemed a bit off. And Love, who had been playing really well up until
Low. You've added a V in there because you've listened to too
I
much
love
Brad
Low.
Rosen.
I love Low. But Low, he didn't step up at all. And he'd been playing some pretty good basketball. He played really good basketball. He looked like he didn't start, or whatever, which was probably a smart move by Dean, go with a more athletic big at that particular time. But Low looked like
disengaged.
Disengaged at all. Like I said, it looked like something going there, but those guys are champions. I don't see them continue to play like that.
All right, so if we get this one right, you're going to get your pick. So I know which one you're going to take. You're going that one, isn't it?
Purple, baby.
Yeah.
1946 Distilleries. Y'all got to check it out. It's a local. They make really good stuff. There's no need to pay additional money when you don't have to. They are sold in Dan Murphy's, but it is a really good drop if you want to sit down and have a chill.
Yes, indeed. They've got Uzos, they've got Sapporos, they've got a bunch of different flavored gins. This is fantastic.
And this is exceptional. I'm enjoying this with no ice and no tonic.
Don't forget, subscribe. We want to keep bringing you the show. If we can get to 1,000 subscribers, it's going to make a huge difference to us and to our production values, which you can also already see, that are much better than they used to be. So
we're growing. It's amazing. The people out there, y'all got to subscribe, though. You guys got to hook us up, whether you like us or not. Tune in to hate us, whatever it is. I know most of you love us and like us, but whatever it is, subscribe, and let's keep this rolling.